Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
You may be owed some money. After 911 and 411, call 541. That's 727-541-1741. Call Gulfstream Motorsports for a diminished value report. Due to my 28 years experience in the auto salvage business, I'm very good with wrecks. So if your car's been involved in a wreck, call me for a diminished value report. Call 727-541-1741. You may be owed some money for the lost value of your repaired vehicle. And visit us at GulfstreamMotorsports.com.
Tune in Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. for Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. That's 2 hours of great gospel music every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. All brought to you by the Ozona Pig Restaurant in Ozona. Yes, that's every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. It's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Paul Malloy, host of Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show. I hope you'll join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, where we strive to bring you the libertarian perspective on political events of the day. There's no show quite like Freedom Works, with in-depth interviews, our ultimate top 10 list, and so much more. So join us for Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth.
He's sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
I don't have any concerns, and that's from personal interactions.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever. Not a close second.
Alert, sound.
I mean, the Republicans are like good at distractions.
I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
And if the Democrats were honest, they'd admit President Biden's mental capacity is declining. 6 in 10 Americans don't have confidence in Joe Biden's mental capacity.
Then you have the liberal media told bad things about me and members of the oversight because we have the audacity to investigate.
Giving us their drive-by diagnoses of the President of the United States.
Congressman, what you are suggesting is that I omit portions of my reasoning and explanation to the Attorney General for political reasons.
Democrats get into a frenzy.
Do you think people close to President Biden are being honest about his mental state?
And these slip-ups kind of happen.
I mean, there should be no concern.
So I don't really care if he was off for 90 minutes and didn't put on like people wanted him to put on.
I saw no more in his explanation than I've seen in anybody else.
Sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
This is a very sharp president.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
The president has no impairment.
Nobody's buying that. No. Nobody's buying what he's selling.
And the pipeline of videos that aren't telling the full truth.
All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity is defined is wrong.
The same right-wing influences that are trying to take me down, are trying to take down President Biden. So
Joe Biden's not the one calling the shots.
And let's look at President Biden.
See, he's not. Nobody suggests he's senile, and that's disrespectful of senior people with any kind of memory disability.
We're all aware of how he's doing.
The president of Mexico, Sisi, we finally beat Medicare.
Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. You know what? I don't really care.
I'm serious.
I really don't know what he said at the end of this. I don't think he knows what he said either.
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him.
Cover-up is a very loaded term.
I don't think that there is a huge cover-up underway here.
If anybody out there gives a damn about the truth, read that interview.
Original Sin. It's about President Biden's disastrous decision to run for re-election and the cover-up of his decline.
We missed a lot of this story.
And I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline, the cover-up of his decline.
We missed a lot of this story.
If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
And they say I'm in good shape. Okay?
Good evening. Well, what do you think? Joe Biden's book is coming out next week. There's a book that's going to tell us what we didn't already know. You know, the last couple of years of his presidency, well, actually most of his presidency, Everybody knew. There had to be something wrong for him to just shut off the oil, shut down the Keystone pipeline, send tens of thousands of people home, and bring millions of people in through the border, the southern border, open it wide. Had to be something wrong. Yet the Democrats were covering him up. Donald Trump comes along and something wrong with Donald Trump, they say. There's nothing wrong with Donald Trump, except he's making America better. He's making the world safer. He's bringing about a prosperity that is going to be called the golden age and bringing trillions and trillions of dollars back home to America. Struck a deal with Saudi Arabia, who tried to give him a new plane, a new 747 out of Qatar. Not sure if he's going to take it or not. Not sure if it's going to fit in his presidential library where they say it would end up someday. I like the old Trump one myself. I like Trump one because I know that that's the one that brought him to the rallies. That's the one that brought him to the people. That's the one that helped him win the presidency for the second time. Trump still thinks he was cheated. 2020, millions of Americans feel the same way. But Joe Biden, the book is going to reveal, if you want to read it. If you want to spend your money on, maybe go get a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, or maybe go buy a gallon of gasoline somewhere. And like Ed said, get a dozen eggs for about $3 a dozen at Publix. How you doing, Ed?
Doing well. I can afford eggs again.
You can afford eggs again. You can afford gasoline too. It seems like is going down. Do you notice that?
I've seen it at $2.76. I think is the lowest. I've seen it.
You look on X or you look on Facebook. They're showing it in other parts of the country for under $2.50.
Well,
which is good, I think.
Yeah, it's different all over because we get that story. Well, I bought this. I filled my tanks when it was this price and blah, blah, blah. But it's funny when there's a hurricane forecast, boop, goes right up.
Goes up again, yeah.
Yeah. So they're selling. There's no doubt some of these stations are milking it a bit, So until it goes down, but yeah.
But you can afford eggs.
If you got that Gas Buddy app on your phone, you can find cheap gas.
Right.
I think Sam's Club had it at $2.60 something the other day.
Sam's Club, BJ's up in 580. I got a BJ's card, and it's I think around $2.75 right now. And if you go inside and buy things, you can get as much as 50 cents a gallon if you know how to understand how to use that app. That's a lot of savings for people. And China, they're back in the news. China over the weekend. Donald Trump, I guess, decided to put a pause on the Chinese products coming into America for 90 days. They want to get all that Christmas stuff junk into the stores and on the shelves for the American people to buy. But I hope that people start to buy things in other countries besides China. And the whole theme of Donald Trump is to buy American. That's what he really wants. He wants to see America prosper again. We've got some great clips tonight. So let's play one right now, Ed, if you could.
So I teach economics at Stanford as well as health policy. And one thing that's really, really simple in economics is that when you have a persistent price difference for the same product between two countries, there is something deeply wrong. And what President Trump has done is a historic measure that should have been done a long time ago. What we're going to do is make sure that those prices become much closer to equal, like a competitive market you'd expect. Right now, what's happening is the American people are subsidizing in large fraction the research and development efforts for drug companies around the world by the higher prices that we pay. With this new order, Europe will share the burden of that. And in fact, if you may think of it as like as somehow it's like it's going after drug companies, actually it's helping drug companies. Because what we're also going to do with this order, what President Trump has done with this order, is he's said to European governments, look, if you are taking advantage of the drug companies by forcing them to charge very, very low prices, we're going to defend American drug companies in Europe. At the same time, we're standing up for the American consumer who's been paying far too high prices for far too long. I can go back decades to point to congressional reports after government report after government report of tremendously high drug prices, much higher than the rest of the world. And nothing has been done about it until this moment. And I'm really, really proud, President Trump, that you've done this. I'm really proud to be included in this and looking forward to the work ahead.
Donald Trump signed an executive order yesterday ordering an order that's going to reduce prescription drug costs in the Oval Office with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Seems like most people, have a hard time believing that pharma is not going to figure out a way to stall this executive order, and Big Pharma will not lower the cost of prescription drugs. But those executive orders for the next 3.5 years under Donald Trump at least will be in order.
Let me give you an example of a drug. Eliquis is a blood thinning drug that my own doctor would like me to be on. And for a 5 milligram 60 tablet, $603. That's 60 days worth. That's 2 months worth. $300 a month. The problem is there is no generic to get that lower or whatever. So you're going to see prices like that fall because now the cat's out of the bag. And I think that also lowers them. But along with, he says it's going to 30 to 80% somewhere. I'd like to see that come down, but that's a perfect example right there.
And that's
Eliquis.
Bobby Kennedy's whole method, whole mindset, whole mission is to bring the costs of healthcare down so that Americans can be healthy again, make America healthy again. And if you can bring the costs of drugs down to somebody like Ed or me or anybody else listening, any other American in this great country, you deserve it. You deserve a good price for the drugs, as good as they get overseas. And this is what Donald Trump signed yesterday, the order to bring, he says, 30 to 80%. I mean, that's a great savings. That's better than the gas prices. He's bringing the gas prices down, but like Ed said, $600 for 2 months, $10 a day. It sounds like for a pill. Come on. How much does it cost to make the pill? 2 cents, 3 cents, maybe a nickel. So talk about price gouging, but we're finding out all these great things. Let's play another clip, Ed. I got some pretty good clips here tonight. So go ahead, play another, please. Thank you.
There's a lover Twitter that likes to. Hang on a second here. I don't know why we're not getting any.
Yeah, some of these.
Hold on a second.
Okay,
here we go.
Go ahead.
Significant crises that President Trump inherited upon taking office was the wave of racial discrimination, so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that have taken over both public sector and private sector entities all across the United States of America. Perhaps the most dramatic example of this is that our air traffic controllers were being hired and promoted based on race and gender, not their ability to conduct our nation's air traffic. I would estimate that probably 90% of Americans would agree with the statement that airline safety should be based on your ability to keep airline safety jobs should be based on your ability to keep planes landing and taking off and flying safely, not on what demographic box you check. President Trump has ended across the entire federal government all hiring, recruiting, retention, promotion, and training based on race and sex. This includes in our law enforcement agencies. So again, when we took office, even in sensitive law enforcement, national security, and intelligence agencies, we were hiring individuals not on their ability to carry a weapon, not on their ability to keep Americans safe, not on their ability to conduct sensitive intelligence operations, but based upon race and sex. And obviously, that is unacceptable. It's going to be merit-based across the whole federal government. But this wasn't just the federal government. This was the private sector. And this was also, of course, our entire university and education system. So President Trump's Department of Justice, working with other departments and agencies, have made clear that this administration is going to fully enforce Title VI, Title VII, and Title IX of our federal civil rights code. Discrimination based on race and sex is prohibited by law. And this administration will vigorously enforce that. And companies, small or large, that violate plain text of federal statutes will face appropriate financial and other penalties. This administration is not going to let our society devolve into communist, woke, DEI strangulation. We are going to have a system of merit, which is not just a social and cultural issue, it's an economic issue. When you hire, retain, and recruit based on merit, as President Trump has directed, you advance innovation, you advance growth, you advance investment, you advance job creation, you create the best and safest product for all Americans. When a citizen goes to, say, a hospital in a medical emergency, they don't care what race or sex their doctor or their nurse is. They want the best treatment they can get in that emergency. When they're flying a plane or when they're on an aircraft, they want that pilot to be the best pilot, the safest pilot, not caring what that pilot's race or sex is. This applies across the whole government.
Yeah, that's Stephen Miller, who's been with Donald Trump since January of 2016. Wrote a lot of his speeches. Actually, when his first inauguration speech in 2017, he wrote that. And he's been with Donald Trump ever since. Very smart man, 39 years old. And one of the great men that Donald Trump has on his team. Donald Trump has geniuses on his team right now this time. The first time he didn't have the greatest wisdom right there. But as he went through those 4 years of watching Joe Biden destroy the country, he learned a lot. He learned a lot when he was not the president. And right now, who would ever imagine that the border could be closed so quickly? I mean, people were thinking during the Biden administration that it would never, ever be able to be closed. Joe Biden sold the American people a bill of goods, a bunch of lies, that it was Congress's fault, that it couldn't happen, that it couldn't be closed. He never went there. Kamala Harris was the border czar, never went there. And we were being invaded as a country by other people. And these people were the worst of the worst, and they were sent into America. And now Donald Trump has got the border closed down to 99.9% shut down, and he's sending people out every day out of the country. Every day, the worst of the worst of the worst are leaving the country, and the Democrats are upset. What does that tell you if you're a Democrat? If you're a Democrat, could you back somebody that would that's a criminal, that's sent from another that would go to, maybe if he's 18, 17, go to your high school? Would you support someone like that as a Democrat? But that's what your party did. That's what they did for many, many years, and there was very little said on the Democratic side. The Democrats have gone so far to the left right now that nobody knows if they'll ever be able to come back, and the Republicans need to unite and continue to back Trump and pass that big, beautiful tax bill. Donald Trump, he calls it that, and he wants it passed by July 4th, and hopefully it will be. And Ed, let's play another clip.
That America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam. Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade. It's just unsustainable for $1.2 trillion to be exported to the rest of the world, meaning our money is going to the rest of the world. It's building them up. And over time, it's taken us down. And the president's here to fix it. So that's what he's trying to do with his tariffs.
Donald Trump is in Saudi Arabia right now with the prince, and they offered him a $400 million plane from Qatar, a plane, a 747 for him to use as a little gift, I guess, a little gift from Saudi. But if you look at Saudi Arabia, Brett Baer from Fox News is out in the streets of Saudi, and the beautiful, beautiful buildings. And where did they make all the money? Where did they make it all? A lot of it came from America in our pocketbooks, especially during the Joe Biden administration. Oil was floating across the ocean into America while he was buying oil from Venezuela, and he was stopping the drilling and stopping the pipelines in America. Now, maybe, just maybe, America can do the same thing. I mean, if Saudi Arabia can do it, if Saudi Arabia can be so prosperous and so rich and so wealthy, America has more energy. America has more liquid gold under the ground, whether it's in Alaska, whether it's in North Dakota, whether it's in Texas. Maybe it's off the Gulf, in the Gulf of America. A lot of people don't like that name, but it's a great name because that Gulf of America, maybe it should be called the Golden Gulf of America, because there's going to be a lot of oil being drilled in the Gulf. Yeah, I hope those, hope we don't have another one like they had years ago, with oil leak. I remember that
Horizon
Chevron
deal?
it was Horizon. Remember the spill?
BP oil spill.
And it kept coming and coming and coming, and they were telling us we don't have a lot of oil in the ground.
Let's see about that plane. And he can't be gifted a plane. Why do they sell it to him for $1?
Well, maybe.
I mean, if you want to sell me your truck and I don't pay taxes, you sell it to me for $1.
Right, I give it to you. Probably.
No, you can't give it. You can't give it.
Oh, you can't give it to
You can't
Trump.
give it. So you can't give it. Yeah. So what if they sold it to him for $1?
Well, they could. We made it here. It's made in America.
Well, sell it to the United States, the people of the United States for $1.
And maybe they're trying to figure out a way because it's made in America, no tariffs, $1.
You see the size of that plane?
Yeah.
You see the size of it?
Yeah,
the difference between that and a 40-year-old 747.
Right.
Good Lord.
747s came out back in the early 70s, late 60s, I believe. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And Boeing made that plane supposedly for, I think, the prince of somebody from Qatar, some billionaire over there. And I don't know what happened. He don't want it.
And actually, we've got two of them.
We've got two of them.
One's a decoy. One is always a decoy.
Two Air Force
one's
One.
a decoy.
And Trump
it's an exact replica, and they keep it up. I mean, dish for dish, plate for plate, it's an exact replica. And I know he's jumping on Boeing, but Biden's the one that slowed it down. The whole paint scheme,
I know.
He trashed that. He wanted this, and then he changed everything, and they got set back.
I don't know. He's jumping on Boeing, but he's going to make Boeing a lot of money with these tariffs because, we import airplanes from, I believe, England. Where's the one made the not the Boeing, but the other one, Airbus. They're made, I believe, in England or France. I believe it's England, but those Airbuses are owned by many, many airline companies. And, Trump made that big deal with Britain the other day with the tariffs, and he said Britain has the 4th largest economy in the world. Most people never really knew that they make so many things in little England, Britain. Who'd ever imagine? But that stuff is going to be, we're going to get tariff money. We're going to get more tariff money coming into this country that hopefully, maybe they'll eliminate the IRS. That's what they're talking about, hopefully, but it's not going to be for a while because there's so many accountants and so many lawyers that work for the IRS and so many government employees that they really don't want you to have any money. They don't want Americans to have a middle class. And I don't know who they are, but I know there's a lot of them in Washington, D.C., called the swamp, the bureaucrats who live there and live high on the hog, make millions of dollars a year. Many of them live in $1 million homes and just have jobs for years and years and years and never get fired, never get called out. They just live in a bubble. An American's bubble has popped in the swamp, and he's draining the swamp. And he popped the bubble, and Americans are starting to wake up a little bit, I believe, because of Donald Trump. And the liberals and the leftists and the people that think that MAGA people are so bad, they're just going to have to suffer through making more money, suffer through paying less for gasoline, suffer through buying eggs that you can afford. You're going to have to suffer when you go and buy toys. They might be a little more money for your grandkids, but your grandkids are worth it. Wouldn't you rather give your grandkid a toy made in America that might not have lead paint in it, or from a country that's sending fentanyl into our country that is killing thousands, millions of people in America? China is behind the fentanyl. And what about the China virus? Dr. Fauci had the most highest paid government job in Washington. They say he was making almost $450,000 per year, Dr. Fauci, the one that went to the baseball game without a mask and nobody else could go to a baseball game, the one that told us that you had to wear a mask on an airplane, the one that told us to keep the kids out of the schools during the COVID, the one that said that the vaccine would stop the spread of COVID. Didn't work. And that's behind us now. But China's trying to figure out a way to get around Trump. I know that Donald might say that he really trusts Xi, but I don't believe that he trusts him any further than he trusted the Saudis that gave him that cup the other day. And the prince drank his and Trump didn't drink his little cup, whatever was in the cup. Did you see that on Twitter?
Well, with regards to that, there's a whole thing you trust, and then there's tolerate. You don't have to trust somebody. You got to tolerate them. That's all.
I don't know what it was. It was some kind of a drink. I don't think they drank alcohol in Saudi. I don't think it was alcohol. I'm not sure what was in that little cup that they were giving him, but Trump held it, and then eventually he just put it. He probably wasn't thirsty, Maybe they brought a McDonald's truck in, I guess, like a food truck for McDonald's. They brought it in for Trump in Saudi Arabia. Maybe trying to josh with them a little. I guess the prince really likes Trump, the prince of Saudi Arabia, but I still don't know if I get it. He's trying to bring peace to the Middle East, and I think that he's got a great mission there. It's a challenge, a big challenge. He's trying to stop the war in Ukraine and Russia. He's trying to stop all that, and he's on a mission. He's a president of peace. He's a prosperity, peace and prosperity. And he knows that if America can start making money, start being prosperous, start being generous, he says that will help people to get together, he thinks. Peace. We're not giving money now to Ukraine anymore. That stopped. And Congress, they want to impeach him. The Democrats, they're trying to impeach Trump. They think they can impeach him. Adam Schiff is having some problems with his constituents, and Chuck Schumer's he's on the fence. They don't know. The AOC may be taking his seat, maybe. Oh, maybe it'll be a Republican senator in New York. It's possible. It's possible. Let's play another clip. Ed, go ahead. Good.
The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers. And our Secretary, as you know, of Agriculture is here. Brooke, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
You'll let the farmers know. In addition, the UK will reduce or eliminate numerous non-tariff barriers that unfairly discriminated against American products. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So They're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast-tracking American goods through their customs process, so our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and there won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries. And we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed. And they'll end up getting products that they'll be able to price. And if they like them better and we make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important. And we feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest.
One of our greatest allies. And Trump was there talking to Steiner, the British, by phone or by message, and they came to an agreement. He had a delegation of Brits over there in the Oval Office. Donald Trump went to the Pope's funeral last week. He's been all over the everywhere. Donald Trump is just amazing. China, he's got a delegation talking to the Chinese, and they're trying to kick the can down the road, or the Mattel toy down the road. They got the tariffs on pause. They didn't come to an agreement yet. But China is being tough right now. China, who doesn't pay their help anything, probably. Amazon. They say Apple might start building the phones in India. India's coming aboard. We don't know when. We don't know what's going to happen with India. But India's got almost as many people as China. And they like Trump. The Argentine president, he's on board with Trump. Trump is on board. Canada, Carney, he came to the White House last week and had a little sit down with Trump, and haven't heard much from him. Governor Carney is probably what he'll start calling him, because Governor Carney is a friend of Governor Trudeau, and Donald Trump wants to make sure that may become the 51st state, Hopefully Florida Panthers will beat the Toronto. We need an American Stanley Cup winner this year, but half the players are from Canada, and a lot of the fans come to Florida here to visit, and they go to the Lightning games. The Canadians, if they let them out, they can't get their health care here. They got to go back. They got to wait a long time in Canada for health care, for an operation or anything. It's a sad state in Canada. It used to be a really, really great country back in the day, but today it's kind of just struggling to exist as a nation, and the people are kind of fed up with it. And Mexico, not sure what's going to happen there now that there's no trafficking coming in. There's probably some, but they're getting through. But there's a lot of changes in the last 114 days of Donald Trump's presidency. I know, Ed, I don't know how they keep up with him, You know what I mean? It's kind of amazing to watch, We're so lucky. We're so lucky, Ed. Lucky to have Trump, I believe, America's a great country, and a lot of people love America. We've got the European Union right now. They're kind of wondering what to do if this war ends in Ukraine, because, a lot of people want to continue that war with Russia. They're afraid Russia's going to try to march right across Europe. Anders, how are you, Anders?
Oh, hello there, Bill.
Speaking of the European Union, how's my friend from Sweden who became an American citizen legally? You didn't come across the southern border, did you? No.
Nope. I flew over the Atlantic.
I know you did. And what do you got to tell us today about politics? Because you're a political science major, I know, and you know a lot about politics. So go ahead and let you talk. but make sure it's English. I try to listen to your podcast someday when it's on, when you're talking to your friends in Sweden. I can't really understand Sweden, but go ahead and talk. Let's see. What do you want to talk about? The tariffs?
Yeah, this has been a very interesting week so far. I mean, on Monday, Monday, the Chinese finally gave up and made some kind of preliminary deal about more fair tariffs and trade, which I had sworn that they would never do. And on Thursday, we will have this meeting between Putin and Zelensky that Trump may or may not also attend about Ukraine. Today, Trump is in Saudi Arabia and making billion-dollar deals there that are good for America. So it's a big week for the man in the big White House.
600 billion. He might get a new airplane to go along with it. Built in up in Seattle at Boeing plant. Plane that was ordered by somebody from Qatar, probably be giving him the whole island of Qatar before it's all done, and over. People are wondering, everybody wants to gift Donald Trump, but he can't be bought. That's the great thing about Trump.
Yeah, I have followed that debate. It's quite ridiculous. Countries gives gifts to each other all the time, big and small. So this is obviously one of the bigger ones ever, but it's not the biggest. But
What's the biggest? This is pretty big. What was the biggest? I mean, is there a bigger than giving somebody a new jet, a big jet? I know he's got a jet, but is this going to make a difference in the way he gets from here to there? He's burning that. He's using that other jet. He's wearing it out. The Air Force One. Now the old 40-year-old jet. He's got to come up. It's Donald Trump. Gold-plated seats, probably gold-plated. I don't think they'll supply the pilots. I hope not. But from Saudi.
No, I'm quite sure that will be Secret Service.
I don't think it'll be the pilots. Donald Trump's got some good pilots. But what do you think is going to happen in Europe? Do you think Europe is going to be part of this golden age or not?
There I must be a little bit more of a Debbie Downer because Europe is in the midst of enormous problems. Economical, immigration, social, cultural upheaval, crime, drugs, it's wars, Ukraine, of course. Hopefully that will end soon. But it hurts me to say it, but I'm not very optimistic when it comes to Europe.
Do you think that Donald Trump should maybe visit each country or, in Europe, with that new jet, he's getting a new jet. So it's all up to speed.
I don't think
maybe if he flew over to Sweden, what would he tell the Swedish, what is it, a president or prime minister or king or what do they have there?
Sweden still has a powerless king, so he would, if Trump ever goes there, he will meet the prime minister.
The prime minister. Well, what would he tell the prime minister of Sweden if you were sitting there in the prime minister's seat? What would you expect Donald Trump to tell you if you were the prime minister, Mr. Anders?
If I were to tell Trump what he should tell the Swedish prime minister is to stop immigration, lower taxes, deregulate the economy, and get the economy going. Because Sweden they have almost 9% unemployment right now, and the society is slowly but steadily falling apart in crime and gangs and
But I'm telling you, there's hope then, because this is exactly what America was experiencing 140 days ago, 120 under Joe Biden. Everything you just said was Joe Biden's presidency. And do you agree with me in that Joe Biden we were on a collision course in America? And
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The Democratic Party in America is the European Party. They want to do the make the same mistakes as the Europeans has done for 40, 50, 60 years, policy-wise, so-called free everything, free healthcare, free universities. I mean, it's not free because you pay for your taxes for your noses and ears to have them, but it's a system that is just falling apart under its own weight, slowly but steadily.
Yeah, you want to hang on, Ed? We got any more clips? We might play another clip. You hang on, Anders. We'll go.
Today I signed an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at an airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country. As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want. We're also adding a very important exit bonus for illegals to further incentivize their self-deportation. This deportation bonus will save American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. What Biden did to this country can never be explained, will never, ever be accepted. Eventually, when the illegals are gone, it will save us trillions of dollars. However, if illegal aliens choose to remain in America, they're remaining illegally and they will face severe consequences. Illegal aliens who stay in America face punishments including significant jail time, enormous financial penalties, confiscation of all property, garnishment of all wages, imprisonment and incarceration, and sudden deportation in a place and manner solely of our discretion. So to all illegal aliens who book your free flight right now, we want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get you back in. Maybe that airplane.
What was that number again? Hold on a
Today I
second.
signed an executive can simply show up out of our country.
Out of our country.
We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home.
Is it me, or does that sound a lot like
Home,
ET Phone
can
Home?
book a free flight to any foreign.
Does that sound a lot like ET Phone Home?
Phone Home. What do you think? Yeah. Hey, Anders, you think maybe that new airplane will fit? They could just load them up in that new jumbo 747 mass deportation. I mean, how does that make you feel, Anders? We got that clip just for you.
Yeah, actually, Sweden has actually been thinking about having a similar program to get their excess number of illegals to go. So,
Why do they want to have them go? I mean, are they settled? You know, they're not going to go.
Nah.
Don't you say that a lot of these illegals seem to have really big families, right? Big families.
Yeah, and I mean, Europe has the same problem. Their immigrants just come from different parts of the world. That's mostly Africa and the Middle East and Europe. Here, people are coming from Latin America first and foremost. So
I can remember when was it Merkel that in Germany wanted workers, you know, so she opened up the border. Wasn't it her that did that, Merkel?
Yes,
Germany.
yes. A lot of European leaders have said that they must open the borders because it's a worker shortage. But at the same time, most European countries have 5, 10, some up to 15% unemployment. So I'm not saying that there may not be a shortage of certain kinds of workers, but generally there is no worker shortage in Europe. That's just political off the air.
Yeah, they work 4 days a week, don't they? In Europe, a lot of people 4 days. I know in Greece they do. You know, they say 4-day work week. You know, Trump wants to bring that back, but I didn't mean it in a bad way about you with that clip. I just wanted you to comment on it because you are an American dream as far as I'm concerned. You came into this great country because you heard something that Ronald Reagan said. Tell me that story again about what made you want to become an American. What were you, 10 years old at the time?
Yes, I was 10 years old on election night, 1980, and because of the time difference, Swedish television showed an old Reagan Western movie that I nagged my mother to sit up and watch, and she went to bed. And when the election watch started, I didn't go to bed, so I was sitting there. I hardly spoke any English, but it was something with Reagan when he held his victory speech, and I got interested in American politics and history and society that night, and here I am today, some 45 years later.
In politics, because of one person, and I'm sure that there's other people in all over this great world that want to come to America, but they want to come the same way you came, through the process of American immigration. And when the Democrats open up a border and let people come in without any kind of vetting, people that are brought in from other countries that we don't know anything about, and to know that many of them came from prisons that they opened up and sent them into our cities and our streets for the sake of maybe getting voters. This is the same thing in Europe going on. They want to, it's a takeover of freedoms in America, because and then a guy like Donald Trump comes along, a similar Reagan, different in a lot of ways, but the same as far as the American exceptionalism, like Reagan was, but Trump is a whole different, there'll never be another Trump, I don't think, right?
Just like there will never be another Reagan, there will never be another Trump. They are unique personalities that there may be people that are similar to them in different ways, but they are so unique characters. So there will never, ever be another Reagan or Trump.
You're right. And, they got an article in the New York Post today about different presents that they've been given to presidents, Guess what China gave somebody? He gave him a panda. Richard Nixon got a panda. Saudi Arabia gave a sword. Queen Victoria gave the Resolute desk, the same desk that Trump uses, Rutherford Hayes. It was from a ship, the Resolute desk was from that ship called the Resolute. And I guess there's a lot of different desks that a president can choose from, when they become the president. And Trump picked that one because he just liked to talk, and the way he's got Melania redoing the White House, and it's a great thing, great thing. I like it.
I must say, it was just breaking news now while we were talking here that it was Qatar who wants to give this airplane to Trump. They have now this evening also signed an agreement to purchase 150 Boeing aircrafts.
Wow.
So that must be the if people said, "Oh, it's a bribe." Why do you bribe someone you want to buy things from? That must be one of the weirdest bribes in human history. If that was
150, you know how long that'll take them to build? That'll take a while to build them. If they, that 747, Trump's been wanting a new plane for a long time, and they've got one already there. They want to probably get out of it because they probably want to get in. And Boeing and Airbus, they're the two biggies in the country. And what do you think about Elon Musk? Do you think he left because he just got tired of saving the American people money, and the American people were fighting him over it? Or do you think he's just getting back into the mission to Mars?
I think the latter. He did what he promised to do, get Doge up and running, and he oversaw it for 2-3 months, and now. I mean, it will run until July next year, as I understand it. So, and it was never his intent to stay for the full duration. So, he, as I said, he got it up and running, and they are saving us money every day. You can follow it on the internet. I found out last week. I think we have
Anders, my Swedish friend, I appreciate your call, and we're getting down to the last few minutes of the show. So you got any last? Got to make it short. Go ahead. What's your final advice to the people that are listening right now?
Just to be darn happy to live in the best country in the world, and it's back on the right track. So be happy, be optimistic. If you are young and or energetic, start businesses, just because it's some great years and decades ahead, hopefully.
It seems like it. And I appreciate your call, and we'll talk to you again, okay?
Absolutely.
God bless.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And well, hour goes by really quick. And Ed, how about you? You got any advice to give people? Advice? Should we stock up on eggs or?
Well, no. I mean, the naysayers are getting quieter nowadays because, I was telling Paul the other day, or we're going to say, what's going to happen like with the stock market when things fall in line? Like China. Look what happened yesterday. Or it was yesterday, yeah, over 1,100 points. Stock market shoots up, and last week and 2 weeks ago, you got Dems there. Where the price eggs is too high? No, not a price eggs. I was in the store last night. It's $3 a carton. Yeah. Gas is almost around $2.50.
Right.
What are you going to complain about next? Now you're singing songs at an ice place where they're holding. Criminals from a different country, these Trinidad people that you're blowing kisses to, and you remember these are the same people that they crowded the buses when they brought them in and handed them cash out of their own pocket, $20 bills and stuff, handing them cash. We don't forget those days. But now, listen, Dems, move to Russia and get it over with. Just move.
They're not going.
There's nothing left for you here, really.
Donald's asking them to leave. That's set. What we played is kind of self-deporting. That would be a great idea for people to do, the self-deport, and maybe come in the right way. But I don't know if it's going to be a lot of people coming to America legally. I think a lot of them are going to wait till the next 4 years, and hopefully Trump they'll get another Democrat president. That's what they're hoping for.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. No, there's no front runner. There's no front runner, and they're. I mean, right now they don't know they're coming or going right now. The whole party, all they're doing, each one is running their own muck right now. You got AOC spewing, Bernie Sanders spewing, and what's her name in Texas? She's spewing, and it's Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, just spewing like crazy.
Yeah, she's
just talking about nothing.
No, yeah. Well, she's a radical, and she that's how she gets on a lot of hits on the internet. She's an internet success like AOC.
She'll be. I guarantee you, within 5 years, she's out of politics. Within 5 years, her mouth will run her out.
So to recap the week, Donald Trump went to the funeral of the Pope, and 114 days today. We're counting the days, and we're hoping that by next week, who knows? China, the deal's coming. Deals on. I hope there's peace in Ukraine. I hope that Russia backs down and Putin comes to the table, because that would be a great thing. And I hope that Donald Trump, which he never will get, the Nobel Peace Prize, because he is definitely a peacemaker president in our lifetimes. The younger generation right now, I believe, is starting to see how Donald Trump is their future. They looked at COVID. They saw what happened under Joe Biden with the China virus, and they were restricted. And they came to the polls by the droves on November when Donald Trump took the presidency. And I think they were the ones that helped push him over the edge. So between these young people and the older people and the people in the middle, Democrats, you ought to get on board, because the Trump train is moving through. And I thank you, Ed, for doing the show tonight. And thanks for Andre's call. God bless America.
Wake up the millionaire, only in America. And a kid without a cent, get a break and maybe grow up to be president. Only in America, land of opportunity, yeah. Would a classy girl like you fall for a poor boy like me? Only in America, and a kid who's washing cars, take a giant step and reach right up and touch the stars. In America, would a dream like this come true? Would a guy like me start with nothing and end up with you?
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
Listen.
Hall of Fame ineligible? No more.
Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated.
President Trump and Saudi Arabia.
Today we reaffirm the